is our motto. Your time to shine, don't wait in line, y vamos por todo.
All right. Good evening, champions. Happy Sunday. Let me just stop sharing my screen here. Happy Sunday. Time for our team call, our weekly team call. It's been a couple of weeks since I've seen you guys, and it's time to rock and roll. Now, I see some familiar faces here and also some new faces, which is always nice. I'd love to hear from everybody. Where's everybody tuning in from tonight? So we give it 1 or 2 more minutes before we rock and roll. Let's see what countries are represented tonight. So you can put it in the chat so we can see. Let's see who's dominating tonight. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Bishop Charles. I want to say congratulations to Bishop Charles because he's literally coming in and building such an amazing story. 22 personals, I believe, in a couple of weeks. Silver in 2 weeks. Amazing, Bishop Charles. Congratulations. Looking forward to celebrating you at the next rank soon. Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's coming in strong. Iceland. Nairobi, Kenya. Amazing. Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe, South Africa. Nice. Sweden in the house. And Sweden just had the launch event a couple of weeks ago, so I know there's some big things happening in Sweden. All right, where else? Let's see. Bulawayo, amazing. Can't wait to come out to Zimbabwe, guys. South Africa in the house. Nice. Bomba. So we're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna rock and roll, guys. And I was talking to a few of the team members in terms of because these Sunday night calls, they're basically for you guys, right? You know, they're not for us, they're for you guys. So I want to encourage you guys, you know, when you feel like there's a gap, maybe in the mindset, on the skills that you want to focus on in order to grow yourself and to grow your business, feel free to reach out to any of your leaders or reach out to me personally and let me know, you know, I think that we need a training around this kind of area because we're here to help you guys grow. You know, one of the things my mentor always says, if you want to grow a big business, grow people. When you help people grow the business. Don't focus on growing your paycheck. Focus on growing people, developing leaders, pouring into your team. And it doesn't matter if you've got 2 team members, 20 team members, or 200 or 2,000. Growth is absolutely the key. And based on that, actually, I want to take a couple of moments out. If there's a topic that you feel it's very important for you to learn so you can grow your business, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to put it here on the chat. I got a topic I want to talk to you guys about tonight, but I want to give you guys a couple of minutes so you can put it on the chat because then we can embed it into future coaching calls because we're here to serve you guys. Okay, we're here to grow together. So what's an area in your business? Maybe there's a skill that you feel like would be very important for you to learn. Maybe it's a mindset shift. Feel free to put it here on the chat. If for whatever reason you're feeling shy and you want to send it to me privately on the chat, you can also do that. Okay, I'm not going to put you on the spot. So I'll give it a couple of minutes. Don't be shy. All right, so I'm assuming that because you guys are not putting in a lot of topics that you guys know everything. Staying connected with your team. Okay. I feel like it's like dragging the cat backwards. Presenting. Okay. Interesting, Catherine. So Lena, when you say staying connected to your team, what do you mean by that? And who else? I'm going to give you guys another 1 minute if you got some additional topics to keep them focused. Okay, I understand. Awesome. All right. So I made a note of them, but obviously, like I said, feel free to message me privately as well, guys. Here's what I want to talk tonight. I want to talk about overcoming fear and going into action. Because the thing is, I feel like, well, it's not just me. I think that the number one thing that really holds a lot of people back from building their business to the level that they need to build it is definitely fear. Okay, if you agree with me, put on the chat, agreed. If you disagree with me, write disagree. I'm very curious. Okay, um, and it's interesting actually. Uh, Nancy writes here, confidence when talking to prospects are always negative. Okay, I will address that one. Agree, agree, agree. Absolutely. Fear is one of those things that, unfortunately, is the number one killer of dreams, is the number one killer of goals, is the number one killer of potential, and is one of the biggest killers in our business too, is fear. Now, who can tell me what you believe are some of the biggest fears that hold people back in this business? Put it on the chat. I know you thought you were going to be sitting there watching this passively, and now I'm asking you to engage. Okay? I like interaction. Fear of rejection. Absolutely. What else? So fear of rejection is one. Yep. Fear of a no. Yep. Which is fear of rejection. Fear of failure. Absolutely, Victoria. Yep. So fear of failure. Fear of lack of team growth, which of course is also connected to fear of failure. Yep. What about fear of judgment? What will my friends say? What if my friends laugh at me? Exactly, Rose. Well, fear of being ridiculed. What if they tell me I'm crazy? What if they tell me this is a scam? What do I do then? Right? That's a very big fear for a lot of people. Fear of judgment is very big fear of a lot of people. Um, Presenting the opportunity to someone living better than you are. Yeah, so that's also fear of judgment, Ditches. I don't know if I said that correctly. Definitely fear of judgments. Um, what other fears? Here's another fear, which is crazy. Fear of success. Believe it or not, some people fear failure almost as much as they fear success. What if I succeed and I don't know what to do? Have you ever heard someone that says, I don't need to become a millionaire? Have you ever heard people say that? I don't need to become a millionaire. I don't need to become rich. And you know what I tell them? Why not? Why not? What's wrong with becoming a millionaire? What's wrong with becoming rich? What's wrong with becoming successful? But sometimes it's that fear of unknown that people have that kind of stretches their comfort zone and they don't know how they're going to deal with it. And sometimes we program ourselves that the money that we get paid on a monthly basis, maybe we've been on a similar salary for quite some time, and we create this ceiling and we connect this ceiling with our value to the world. That let's say we make $2,000 a month and someone says you can be a six-figure earner, you can make 10,000 a month, and our identity goes, oh no, I can't, and we shrink and we pull ourselves back. And somehow, because of that fear of success, okay, or fear of failure, what if I try and I don't make it? I don't succeed. right? Then we start telling ourselves these stories that, maybe this is not meant to work in my country. Maybe my people are not going to go for something like this. And we tell ourselves stories that so long, right, that we actually start to believe in the stories. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about it in terms of how we can reframe that and change the story so we can change the impact. Now, fear, firstly, it's normal, guys. Okay. And I can tell you, I've got things that I'm fearful for sometimes. Even sometimes before I'm about to go on stage, a part of me is like, am I gonna deliver to the best of my abilities? Am I gonna be able to transfer the message to my team that they need to hear? Fear is not a bad thing. Fear pushes you sometimes to become better. Here's a different way to look at fear. Don't fear the fear, only fear it if you never have any fears. Because if you don't have fears, here's what that means. It means you're just living in your comfort zone. You're not doing anything that scares you. And if you're not doing something that scares you, it means you're not growing enough. So fear is almost a way to tell you that you're growing and that you're stretching yourself. Because you would only fear something that is not comfortable to you. Do you see what I mean? Do you see how fear can be a positive thing and not a negative thing? Fear is only bad if we let the fear stop us from doing the things that we want to do. There's a really great book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I don't know if any of you guys have read that book. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I remember quite a few years ago when I was working with another one of my mentors way back when. This is back at university days. And he told me about the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And he said to me that the only way to basically shrink the fears is do the thing that you fear the most as much as possible, because the more you face it, the more it shrinks, right? And I remember back then I had a fear of heights. My fear of heights, I didn't realize till a few years later that it actually developed from when I was a kid. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And in Cyprus, we went to this monastery that was on the top of a really high mountain. And I remember sitting on the window seat of the school bus. And this monastery had this small, windy road going all the way to the top. Okay. This mountain and this monastery is called Stavrovuni, which means the mountain of the cross. And on top of the mountain was basically, it's a piece of the cross from the Holy Cross that Jesus was crucified on. And I remember, sitting on the window seat, and as this bus was going around and around these really, really narrow roads, I was looking down, and all I could see was like the bottom of this giant mountain, this cliff. And all I kept on thinking is, I hope the bus doesn't fall down the side of the mountain. That's all I kept on thinking. Like, I remember feeling this fear that is like, because I was sitting on the window seat, and as the bus was going around the corner, I literally could see like the back tire of the bus wasn't fully on the road because the roads were so narrow. Now, I didn't remember this till years later, but somehow this experience created this fear of heights for me. Okay. And this fear of heights, slowly developed into more and more and more. And up until this day, by the way, even though I've worked on that fear of heights and I don't have that fear of heights, I still don't like to sit on the window seat of the airplane. I still like to sit on the aisle, believe it or not. And I remember hearing about this book and hearing about, you got to face your fear. And I was at university at the time. And, the fear got so bad that even if I stood on a chair, my legs would kind of shake on top of a chair, okay, let alone do ladders. So I'm like, okay, this is getting out of control. And there was I lived in Australia at the time when I was 19 years old, and there was these bridges because there was a big river running through Perth City where I grew up. And I would like literally try to figure out a way to not drive over the bridge because even driving over the bridge like triggered this fear for me. So I said, okay, I gotta face this fear. It's ridiculous, right? And they said, what's the best way to deal with the fear of heights? Well, go bungee jumping. Okay. And I remember, we had gone with the university class and we went to New Zealand, and one of the activities was actually going bungee jumping. And I said, okay, this is my opportunity in order to face my fear of heights. Bungee jumping is like, it doesn't get scarier than that. Now, bearing in mind the bungee jump that we went to was the second highest in the world at the time. It was 120 meters high. Now, a lot of my friends at university kind of knew about my fear. They didn't realize how bad it was, but they knew I wasn't comfortable with heights. And they were kind of like egging me on. Come on, Efrosyni, like you can do it. You can jump, you can do it. And I remember going, yes, of course I can do it, until I got to the edge. Now, the bungee jump was between these two gorges that were on this really high on either side. And we had to go on this metal platform in the middle. And at the bottom of the gorge was a stream of river, but it was so shallow that if you fell in the river, like you were gone anyway, like it wasn't deep enough. And 120 meters is quite high. So I'm standing on the ledge. Now picture this, right? If someone says to you, whatever you do, don't look down. What's the first thing that you do? I look down, right? Someone tells you whatever you do, don't do this. Automatically, your subconscious goes, it's like saying to a kid, don't touch this, it's hot. What does a kid do? They go and touch it, right? So I look down straight away, and he says, just whatever you do, don't look down, just jump. I look down, I see how high it is. I'm like freaking out. My palms are sweaty, my legs are trembling, and like I go to jump, and you ever felt like your feet are like lead? Like I couldn't move. I went to jump and nothing would happen. I couldn't do it. Like I was freaked out. He's like, all right, let's try again. All right. Don't look down, just jump. I look down and I freeze. Okay. And then he says to me, listen, because you don't listen to instructions, instead of looking down and you're not going to jump, why don't we do this? Why don't you turn around so you can jump backwards, and then you don't see what you're jumping into? No problem. Now imagine I'm standing on the ledge like this, right? And as I'm about to turn backwards, I missed my foot and I tripped and I fell like this and I flipped like on the way down. Now, all my school friends, apparently a couple of them were screaming. I was not screaming. I think I lost my ability to scream on the way down. All I remember is praying on the way down that if this is my last moments, like, please God, don't let me die. Like, literally. But I was expecting to die. And if you've ever been bungee jumping, I don't know how have any of you guys been bungee jumping, but the worst thing about bungee jumping is that when you go and reach the end, it doesn't stop there. It bounces up and then you go through all over again. And it bounces up, you go through all over again until it stops bouncing. I kid you not. I had nightmares for about 3 months. But you know what though? I did it. Okay. I did it. And when I came out, there was this feeling inside of me like I did it. Like I couldn't put my finger on it, but all of a sudden I felt unstoppable. Now, I never went bungee jumping again in my life, by the way, but I went skydiving after that because I said, you know what? Let's take it another level. And the thing is that, and I do things that freak me out. I mean, Sandy probably remembers when I went to Zimbabwe for the first time, right? I did some crazy things with, one of our dear friends, Colette, went swimming with crocodiles and did the gourd swing, in Victoria Falls. And guys, it still freaks me out every time, by the way. Like, it still freaks me out every time every time I'm about to do something adrenaline, even skydiving, there's still that knot in my stomach before I'm about to do it, going, are you crazy? Like, are you really going to do this? Now, why am I telling you this? Is because fear and overcoming fears is like a muscle you have to exercise. The reason I do this adrenaline stuff and I push myself to face these fears is because I know that what freaks me out, if I keep facing it and facing it and facing it, I'm not going to let fear stop me from getting the things that I want. And here's the thing that you're always going to remember. The longer you ponder on the thing that scares you, the less likely you are to face it. I noticed that one person said earlier, sometimes the fear of calling someone or inviting someone or showing the business to someone that has a better lifestyle than you. When you're picking up the phone and you're thinking that, it's like a band-aid. You can't sit there and rip it off slowly. You got to stop thinking about it, because the more you think about it, the more you're going to start doubting, because, our mind plays tricks on us, doesn't it? Like, our mind plays tricks on us. It's like, because fear is not real. It's not tangible, is it? You know that we're only born with two fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Those are the only two fears we're born with. So all these other fears that pop up later, the fear of being judged, the fear of failure, fear of success, all these other fears that we're talking about, it's all things that we created in our head. That's all it is. And I remember my mentor used this acronym, and someone can maybe type it in the chat, about what fear stands for. And I know that you probably heard this before, but it's powerful. It stands for false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Now, I remember when my nephew came over one time, and my nephew is now 16 years old. So this was quite a very long time ago. He's 16 now, and he was about 6 or 7 years old. And he came over to my house one time, and we went to the playground, and there was this log, that was basically leaning up against like a tree house. And he really wanted to climb on the tree house. But in order to climb on the tree house, he had to walk on the log, and there was a rope on the log that he had to hold on to in order to go up to the tree house. But the rope would swing from side to side. And he started climbing up the thing, and then he stopped and he said, I can't, auntie, I have a fear of heights. And I'm like, when did you develop the fear of heights? Like, he's 6 years old, he never mentioned it before. But I realized that he picked it up from his mom. His mom said she had a fear of heights. So he heard it once and he adopted it. He said, well, if my mom is scared of heights, then I must be scared of heights. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of false evidence appearing real. Sometimes we hear a story, we adopt it, and it becomes our story. Like, for example, maybe showing someone the business. Maybe they don't take you seriously. Maybe they tell you, oh, this is a scam, all the rest of it. And all of a sudden you have this one experience. You take that one experience and you turn it into a story that you start feeding yourself. What if all my friends think the same thing? What if they're all going to judge me? What if they're all going to tell me that I'm crazy? And all of a sudden, this little one experience becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, we're in the business. A week goes past, 2 weeks go past, a month goes past. We haven't made any phone calls. We haven't invited anybody to a presentation. And we're in the business. We're in Viago, but we're not really building the business. And the longer time goes, the harder it is to get back on the bandwagon. So today is an opportunity in order to completely reframe this. Because here's the thing, right? Some people are scared of what if someone says no? What if they don't? What if they say yes? What if the next person you're going to show could be your next diamond? And you're too scared to show them. What if they judge me? Well, let me ask you something. Don't people judge us every day anyway? Don't we judge people every day? I mean, I will admit it. I went to church this morning, okay? I went to church. It was my godmother's memorial, and there were some people talking in the church, and I judged them. I was like, why are you in the church and you're talking? If you're going to talk, don't be in the church. I judged them. We judge people every single day, but you know what? Opinions mean nothing, don't they? Unless we take that opinion and make it part of our reality. If someone tells you you're not going to succeed in this business, you're not going to make it in Viago, you have a choice whether you take their opinion and actually pay attention to it. Or you have a choice of completely dismissing it and asking yourself, does that person that gave me this opinion, is that person paying my bills? Is that person paying my mortgages? Is that person paying my rent? Is that person living the life that I want to live? Right? You know, you know what I realize? The most broke people are usually the most skeptical. Guys, I kid you not. Like, I work with a lot of successful people in what I do. And I'm telling you, I've met some amazingly successful people, and they tend to be more open-minded. When successful people see opportunities, they examine the opportunity. When unsuccessful people sometimes see an opportunity, they prejudge it before they even see it, or they understand it. They hear a couple of keywords and they go, oh, it must be one of those things. What things? What things are you talking about? I love it when skeptical people go, oh, network marketing is a pyramid scheme. That just shows their lack of intelligence, that they don't even know the difference between a pyramid scheme and network marketing. Like when you got people like Warren Buffett, who's consistently one of the wealthiest people in the world. Google Warren Buffett, who's worth, at last time I checked, was like close to $100 billion. And he proactively invests in network marketing. And in fact, one of the network marketing companies he invested in, this is why we put him in our presentation. One of the companies that he invested in, Pampered Chef, still says it's one of the best investments he ever made. Now, who am I going to take the advice from? Warren Buffett, that believes network marketing is a great business model? Or am I going to listen to my good friend, that maybe doesn't even have the money in order to pay his bills, pay his rent, always complains that he can't afford anything, but yet I'm paying attention to his opinion, wondering why my life doesn't change. So sometimes you gotta question the source, okay? You got to question the source where things are coming from. Before you take someone's opinion, always remember this. I remember Matt Morris said this to me many, many, many years ago. He goes, when you buy people's opinion, you also buy their lifestyle. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every successful person is smart. They're successful lawyers that still don't know the difference between network marketing and pyramid schemes. There's a lot of doctors sometimes also that are not perfect either, okay? So don't just think that just someone is successful in one area, he's an expert in all areas, okay? But the thing is, we got to be careful with that, when we're showing the opportunity, the one thing that my mentor always said to me, and it really stuck in my mind, he goes, listen, when you're showing the opportunity, you're not asking for people's opinion. So remember this. If they come to you during the presentation and they give you their opinion, here's a great way to deal with it. Okay, let's say I'm showing the presentation to Bob and Bob goes, yeah, I don't think this business is going to work. I'd be like, Bob, thank you so much for taking a look. I didn't show this to you to see whether you believe this was going to work or not. Okay, I showed this to you because I'm going to make it work and I wanted to see if you're coming with me. But I understand it's not your time yet, and thank you so much for taking a look anyway. Swiftly move along. Bob didn't get it. No problem. If Bob didn't get it, I am not going to sit here and get into a convincing mode and try to explain to him why this business is going to work. I don't have the energy for that, and I don't want to I prefer to invest my energy in someone that's excited to build this with me and I can help them to grow rather than try to convince skeptical Bob why this business model works. We have people winning in Viago every single day. We have millionaires being produced in network marketing every single day. Don't need Bob's opinion to see if it's going to work or not. You guys with me? Bomba. So here's some steps, okay, in order for you guys to take, right, as we finish off this webinar. Now, bearing in mind right now, we literally got, what is it, 2 weeks? We got 2 weeks until Barcelona, guys. 2 weeks until Barcelona. What's something that you can do between now, not till Barcelona, okay, that's too far away. What is something that you can do today as we finish this webinar that scares you a little bit, that you can commit to as we finish off this call? Maybe it's inviting that person on your chicken list that you're scared of what they're going to say. Find something that scares you tonight that you can sit there and face tonight. And every single day, guys, just push through that fear a little bit more, a little bit more. If you've never done like let's say you've never done a presentation on your own, okay? Go do one. Go practice on some people, right? Get out of your comfort zone. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They go, no, it's not for me. Okay, cool. Thank you for taking a look. Move right along. Go to the next one. Don't dwell on the nose too long, because the more you dwell on the nose, the further that yes is away from you. The closer you are getting through the nose and running through the nose fast, the faster you're going to get to that yeses as well. Okay? So the key thing is the speed that we basically do the presentations, because the faster you go through the numbers, the less time that you have to think about things. Even if someone rejects you, don't spend too long thinking about that rejection. Here's what you got to remember: they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the opportunity. Here's another thing to remember: they're not rejecting the opportunity, they're rejecting their own future. Because at the end of the day, right, if people understand how powerful it was, they wouldn't be saying no. There's something holding them back. Our only job is to show them this business works. That's it. And the only way to show people this business works is that we go through the numbers. And I promise you, when your friends that said no to you start seeing you traveling, start seeing you in Barcelona, start seeing you in Philippines, start seeing you, collecting all these memories and seeing that your life is changing, those people are going to call you back at some point and they're going to say, let me take another look. But if you don't go through the presentations, if you don't go through the numbers, if your life doesn't change over the next few months and the next few years because maybe you give up on your dreams, you buy too many people's opinion, all you're doing is just giving them an opportunity to say, see, I told you these things don't work. And this business works with or without us. This business works when you work it. So whether we believe it's going to work or not, for somebody else it's going to work. The key thing is how do we make it work for us? So guys, literally 2 weeks until Barcelona. I know that some of you guys are sitting on the fence of Barcelona. All I can tell you is jump and grow your wings on the way down. Barcelona is going to be a key event to creating some massive momentum, finishing the year strong. I know for those of you guys tuning in from Africa, we got the African launch in the beginning of November. Now, sometimes I speak to the leaders and they said to me, yeah, a lot of people leave it till the last minute. The thing is, when you leave things till the last minute, you're not playing to win. If you want to play to win, you make your business a priority, okay? And making your business priority, like when you're sitting there and you're building your Viago business, you got to treat it like a business. You got to invest in your business. And one thing my mentor said to me, he goes, in your first 12 months, literally take the money that you're making, put it back in your business. That's why we teach people to invest in themselves. Put it back in your business, grow yourself quickly, never miss a training. And the more you grow yourself, the more you collapse the time frames, the quicker it is for you to get to where you need to go. But some people fall into this trap of going, okay, let me make the money before I invest rather than investing to make the money. Okay, you got to look at it the right way. The same way that would you trust a doctor that didn't go to medical school? How are you going to tell people I'm a professional network marketer if you're not investing in your trainings? So my invitation to you, if you haven't booked one of these two events, get booked ASAP and then make it part of your conversation every single time. When you're presenting the opportunity, you're not presenting the opportunity to get people to join Viago. I know you think you are, but you're not, okay? Your job is to look for the partners that are going to join you in Barcelona, they're going to join you in Zimbabwe, and they're going to build this with you. My mentor always said, one person in your binary makes zero difference, but one leader in your binary can impact your business thousandfold. That's what can happen. I've seen this happen every single time. Leaders are always born in seminars. So what do we need to do? Get the team into the seminars. The seminars will help you develop the leaders. Leaders are going to help you to build this business. So thank you for tuning in, guys. The presentation starts in 15 minutes. Let's make it a powerful week. Let's finish the month strong. See you on the next call.